are new here, and if you're returning for another video, thank you guys so much. You're all appreciated. In this episode, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about financial priorities. And I'm really excited to talk about this episode because I also get to share my story of how I bought my first home at 23, thanks to being able to prioritize my finances. So we're going to go ahead and jump in, but before we do, as usual, please make sure that you subscribe and turn on your post notifications. That way you are notified of any future videos to come from my channel. I'm super excited, and we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. So for this episode, again, I do have my handy dandy notes because I have a ton to talk about in this episode. So for starters, I want to talk about what in the world are financial priorities. What does that mean? Why is it so important? And then we'll go ahead and jump into some story time. So financial priorities are just that. It's being able to prioritize your finances, meaning you put the things that are necessary and that are not luxuries and bonuses and fun things, but the things that are super necessary to be able to keep you functioning, to have a roof over your head, for food, for transportation, things like that. So being able to prioritize, meaning put forward those necessities versus the fun stuff. So for me personally, I have a little sign right here in front of my desk, it's actually a big sign, that says bills that are non-compromisable. They can't compromise. So that of course is like my mortgage, my phone bill, which we're going to go into a little detail about that in a minute, my insurance for my car, daycare for my daughter, the electric bill, water, and my internet. So with that being said, I want to talk about what and why I prioritize these things. So obviously I need my mortgage because I need a roof over my head. I need daycare because my daughter needs to go to daycare. I need my electric bill because it's needed. Now, as far as my phone, the reason I wanted to talk about this one is because for my phone bill, although it is necessary to have a phone, I do not have a plan where I'm always upgrading phones, so I'm having this consistent huge phone payment. For my phone bill, I'm very aware that it is necessary for me to have a phone. I'm a recruiter, so I talk full time and I use my phone to do my job. Obviously, I need something to be able to communicate with family and friends and make sure, everybody's okay. So I do need a bill. That is a necessary. I do need to spend money on that phone. However, what I do personally is I have Straight Talk, which is a Walmart plan. I have my phone that I bought outright, and I pay $45 a month for my phone for unlimited data, service, Wi-Fi, call, text. I have great service everywhere, and I'm not stuck in a bill that is consistently changing or that I'm upgrading, so I'm adding more to my payment. I personally love that option, and that leads me into my steps that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So part of being able to prioritize your finances are three different steps. The first step is knowing what your finances are, and I'm talking about the necessary ones. So the reason that I kind of came to this video, and that kind of triggered me, if you should say, to do the video, is I was going to Dunkin' Donuts about a week ago. And before I get into this, I'm not saying this to be mean. I am just sharing this story because it is what brought me to this video. I was going through the drive-thru, and when I got to the window, there was a couple younger girls there, and they all looked beautiful, but they had their nails done and their hair done and their lashes done, and they looked great, but I also know that that stuff is expensive. And then they started talking about how they're all upgrading the new phone when it comes out, and they all need a new car. So I was hearing these conversations in the window, and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is really where we are as a society, that those things are considered necessities and that they're in our budget. And given that I know the cost for working at a Dunkin' Donuts is probably not that much, are we prioritizing the wrong things? And that's what brought me to this video. So with that being said, of course I wanted to talk about the steps. How can you prioritize yourself? And that first thing is being able to know what is necessary versus those luxuries. So again, as I talked about in the very beginning, it's those bills that cannot be compromised. Without them, you won't be able to go to work, you won't be able to eat, you won't have a roof over your head, you won't be able to actually function without these things. And that's kind of what made me realize, when I was going through the drive-thru, that maybe we are prioritizing the wrong things. It's really, really nice to be able to have your nails done. It's really, really nice to be able to have your hair done. It's really nice to have the new car or the new phone, but it's not a priority. And that's what I wanted to shed light to. So those fun things, the luxuries of being able to spend money on yourself, the luxuries of being able to go out with friends and hang out, and all these great, fantastic things are luxuries, but they're not necessary. So that is step one. figuring out what's necessary. Write your budget down, whether you're a visual person, so you need to put it on a notepad somewhere, or kind of like how I have it in front of my desk, or you just remember these things, whatever helps you. Step number one in being able to prioritize your finances is truly to kind of figure out what the heck your finances are and what you don't need to spend money on. So to kind of tear off of that, step two is figuring out where can you cut money. And the reason I shared my phone example is because I know so many people who are caught up in these crazy phone bills because they know that they need a phone, and it's true, but instead of being able to cut that because they're used to getting the upgrades or they're just used to the service, whatever the case is, they don't do it. This is an option for you. You can easily go through and cut your phone bill from $120 to $50 a month, and still have the same service, same great opportunities that you have on your other big name brand phone. Another thing, are you shopping around for car insurance, trying to find which car insurance is cheaper? Same with daycare, same with water, same with even your Wi-Fi. If you need Wi-Fi, do you have the tip-top service because you absolutely need it, or can you cut and afford to be able to maybe take $20, $30, $40 off of your bill based on what your needs are for your Wi-Fi? So those are some ideas that kind of goes along with knowing your budget, figuring out where can you cut those expenses out. And that means cutting out the unnecessary things like going out to concerts with friends all the time, or going out to the bar, or getting your hair done, or getting your nails done, or whatever the case is. Those things are not necessary and they can be sacrificed for right now, at least until you get where you want to go. And that leads me into step three is, what are your goals? Where do you want to be? Do you see yourself buying a house in the next couple years? Do you see yourself with the dream car? That's awesome. These things, your goals, your dreams are great. I'm not telling you to put those on the back burner, but I am telling you that you need to work towards those and be realistic with where you are right now. That way you are able to get to where you want to go. So knowing your goals is fantastic. It's great. And maybe that's something else you write down here on your list, is where do you want to go? Meaning and knowing that if you want to get here to point B, you need to work through point A for where you're currently at right now, and making sure that you do the right things and the right steps to go ahead and cut what's not necessary so you can get there. Now, I want to just kind of jump in here and say, obviously, I am not a financial advisor. That is not what I do for a living. So I am not trying to give you advice off of just pretending I'm a professional. These are just experiences and things that I've known from my past. And one of the tricks that I learned from a financial advisor, that this did come from somebody, is one of the biggest things that they say to do is work from your biggest loan down. So, and I kind of want to talk about that really quick, just as a little jump in expert here, because that really truly helped me when it came to paying off of the debt and the loans and the things that I did have. So for example, I had two car payments. I had two cars, and I owed $10,000 on one, and I only owed like $5,500 on the other. So of course, we're like, oh, $5,500 sounds good, let's just go ahead and pay that off. But according to financial advisors, what you would want to do is work from your largest bill, or your largest loan down. Now, meaning not just paying your larger bill. So you still need to make your minimum payments on all of your bills. But if you have extra money, instead of going out to the concert or going to the bar with your friends, you should truly contribute that money towards your bigger bill. So a second payment. If you can afford to make a second payment, you need to do so. So if you can afford to go out and you have other things in your budget, like getting your nails done or going out to the bar or whatever the case is, you also can make sure that you cut that because it's not necessary right now, and contribute that money towards your larger bill. That way you're making more payments on the larger one, and it'll get paid off quicker, and it's a trickle effect. So like I said, that worked for me for my car. I would make extra payments on my $10,000 loan, and then eventually that payment was done. I was finished with it, and now I start with my $5,000 loan and do the same thing with contributing extra fund money to that loan. So I would highly suggest that. That was something that worked for me. Again, I'm not a professional, but there are professionals who talk about this method, so I just wanted to share that. Now, another fun little thing that kind of keeps me going when it comes to making sure I'm prioritizing the correct things to get me to my future is one of my favorite sayings or quotes, and it kind of goes something along the lines of, you need to grind now like nobody else, that way you can live like nobody else in the future. Meaning, you need to put in the work and the effort right now while everybody else is kind of falling off and maybe wasting their time not doing that. And so that way you can live and have the best future when everybody else has grinding and trying to fix what they should have been doing the entire time. So I always think about that, whether I'm sacrificing finances and not being able to go out and spend money or whatever the case is, or I'm sacrificing time, So I'm not being able to go out and spend time with family and friends or do what I want, but I know in the long run it's going to be worth it because I'm going to be somewhere on a beach, retired by myself, and happy because I spent the time, really, really putting in the effort and the focus on making sure I can live like nobody else in the future. So I always just kind of like to share that one because that's a huge thing for me. I actually have it quoted somewhere on my wall too. It's on my phone and just a constant reminder of, this is what I want to do so I can get where I want to be in the future and hopefully very soon. Now, with all that being said, I get to go ahead and share my house story with you guys. I'm super excited about this one. It's not going to be detailed by any means. I really just want to share this episode with you guys, the sacrifice and the finances side of things. And then maybe I'll make a series out of it and go more into detail about actually what it takes to buy a home, the loan process, whatever you guys find interest in after this video. So to go ahead and start with my story, I want to just kind of give a little background about where I've been and where I would like to be, things like that. So when I was about 15, 16, my parents split up and it was a very, very healthy divorce. But with that came the understanding of me being the oldest. I knew I really needed to help my mom. She was not in a place at the time due to the circumstances of my childhood to work. So she did not have a very prestige job. She really, really needed help. She needed support. So with that being said, I started working when I was about 16, and I just knew I needed to work to help support my mom and my siblings. I'm the oldest of 4, so I knew that meant that it was going to need to be both of us. So I started working, meanwhile, in between that working at 16, I missed out on so much. I can't tell you how many times I wasn't able to go out with friends because I was helping my mom take the kids to and from their soccer practice, or I was working, or I was helping with homework so she could go to work. Whatever the case was, I missed out on a lot of fun things that kids do, when they were young. And then I graduated, so I got out of high school, and I got accepted into my dream college of the time. I was going to get to go to Florida and really enjoy my life, and I loved that college. I was super excited that I got in. But it kind of hit me that if I left, my mom would have nobody, and at the time, she still did not have like a fantastic job, so we were working on both of our income. And I knew that she had 3 younger siblings to take care of when I left. So I ended up not taking the college admission that I was able to get in. I did not go to college. I ended up getting a big person job, like I like to say, and I started working even harder. And we decided that it made more sense for my mom to go to school because once she graduated, she still needed to take care of the other kids, and I would have every opportunity to be able to leave after that. So what we decided to do was I was going to work a full-time job in one city, and I started going to community college in another city. And my mom was going to college in a city that was even further away, and then working in a college or a position that was even further away from that. So we were in 4 different cities at the time between college and school for the both of us, working with one single car for about a year and a half. And that's kind of what started this crazy adventure. Was she needed to go to school, so she found an 18-month program for her to become a nurse, and I knew that it was going to be great. When she got out, she would be able to make way more money and have better opportunities for the future. So we did that. And then our car blew up, and so I ended up needing to go to some rundown shack kind of dealership on the side of the road, purchase another car. I had no credit, so I had this insane interest rate, insane car payments, insane insurance. I mean, it was just absolute crap for about another year of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Until finally she graduated. So I was super excited she graduated, but by that time I had been working. I got promoted from a part-time worker all the way up to like a shift lead at one position, and then I decided I was going to move forward with a new position where I found my first like really good job, and I was working retail, selling jewelry. Absolutely loved it. I went from seasonal to a store manager within like less than 2 years. And that really opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So right here is where I want to jump in and just put a little quick thing letting you guys know. I don't care what you do for a living, whether you are scraping gum off the side of the road or you are a CEO for a multi-million company. Make sure that you put 100% effort into it, because that really does play a huge role in it as well. I got promoted so quickly and got so many amazing opportunities because I didn't care what I was doing. I went from working as a waitress to Wawa to a store manager, and every single time I showed up early, I did the things that were necessary, and then I went above and beyond, And I made sure that I was actually noted in this position because it got me so many amazing opportunities. So I do want to just quickly say that. Make sure you're doing that. You're putting all the effort that you possibly can into any position. I don't care what it is. Now, with that being said, so from there, when I was working retail, I ended up actually getting pregnant, and I was at the time with my fiance, and we talked about, we knew that we needed a home for our daughter who was coming very, very soon, and that is what started the house buying process for myself. So I went to get a loan. I sat down with the finance officer, and they were like, "Sorry, you don't have enough credit. We're not going to give you a loan. It's just not enough." And I was devastated. I was like, "Well, what the hell do I do? What is going to go on?" So it took me going to get an overpriced apartment that I ended up needing to live at, and it ended up just being my daughter and myself in this apartment. And I think I was paying like $1,100 for a 2-bedroom or something like that. It's just ridiculous for what it was. And so I was like, well, I'm devastated and I need to get a house. So I ended up sitting down and talking to a finance advisor, and he told me the awful words that I did not want to hear, that I needed to get a credit card. And I went my entire life avoiding a credit card, so I was pissed. I was like, I'm not getting a credit card. What else can we do? It's not an option. You need a credit card. Great. So I had to get a stinking credit card. And with that came also prioritizing and being very, very deliberate about what I spent my money on. Another piece of advice, financial advisors do say that when you get a credit card, you should only spend 10% of your credit card. So I asked for a $200 credit limit. That's all I wanted. Every single week, I would put $20 on my credit card for gas, and then before I charged it the next week, I would pay off that $20, and it helped build my credit very amazingly. So it took me about a year of doing that. It took me another year of knowing I could not go out, I cannot spend extra money. I barely saw my friends and family because I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was pregnant, working 2 jobs, doing 2 separate things, and really trying hard to save every bit of money I could for my down payment. They also told me that I could not pay my cars off because that was my longest line of credit that was basically showing I can make a payment on time, so that way they needed to see that in order to feel safe about giving me a huge loan. Understandable, but I was pissed because I had the money to pay it off, and my little brother totaled one of my cars in the meantime, so I was making a payment for a car that wasn't even being utilized, and I was mad, but it worked out. I ended up fixing my credit, having money for a down payment. Then I was able to get my loan. I got my house, which I'm so grateful for. I'm blessed that I was able to do. I was able to pay off my cars. But all of this being said, because I was able to financially prioritize myself, but also prioritize myself, meaning I wasn't doing a lot of things that I knew was going to cost me money or cost me time that was going to be spent when I could be working and saving money and getting me to where I want it to be for one of my goals. Other thing that I just want to kind of jump in here and also talk about is a saying that I always choose to remember, and it's just because you make more doesn't mean you should spend more. You don't want to be house poor. And I see so many people doing this too, and that ended up kind of got in the habit of that because after this job, I ended up moving into a bigger job, and now I'm in a government contractor position. So I was making a little bit more money, and sometimes you find yourself spending a little bit more. Maybe now you have a little bit more luxury money to do those fun things. But I had to really step back, shut myself out, and realize that's not necessary. So just because you make more, please don't start spending more. So many people make this mistake. And I'm not telling you to not do nice things for yourself or to not treat yourself every now and then, because that is necessary, but just being able to prioritize what is super important. And also, don't stop. So I have so many more goals. I already got my goal of my house. I have my dream car, which, mind you, I only spent 10 grand on when the car is like $25,000, but I was smart on how I did it, and maybe I'll share that story another time. So I do have my dream car. It is paid off, but it was something that I prioritized because I wanted that car. I didn't go out and get another huge loan. I actually ended up paying for like 50% of it, and then I had a smaller loan to pay it off. So even though I have those things accomplished, there are still so many more goals and future things that I have to come. So I'm still prioritizing that, meaning I still sacrifice a lot, okay? I still don't go out and spend insane money where I don't need to because that's not necessary. Instead, now that I have no other debt, no other loan other than my home, I spend the extra fun money that I would have making extra house payments or saving it, so if I need money or anything like that goes on with my car or my house, I have the money to be able to spend towards that. And partly how I'm doing that is on top of working my 9 to 5 with my contractor position, I also do my YouTube videos. I work on resumes on the side, so I'm helping people by, fixing their resumes to help them get new jobs. But that's an extra little bit of income in my money that I also put into that fund. Or I do my fun fund for my daughter, and I'm also in school. So in the most humble way possible, I'm not saying that to brag by any means, but I'm saying that to show that there are so many different sources of incomes and things that you can do that's going to better yourself. Like right now, I'm not making money on YouTube, but I love it, and it's getting me exposed, and it's helping me with opportunities, and I'm marketing and being able to meet more people, and I love it. So that's something that helps me grow. Right now, I'm not making more money off of my schooling, but I love it, and it's helping me, and I know in the future it's getting me to a position where I will be able to make more money off of it, and that is fantastic. So being able to prioritize yourself no matter what you do, knowing that there's so many sources of income and opportunities for you out there is super important. So please make sure that you don't stop just because you reach one goal. You keep going, you keep prioritizing yourself, and you keep opening up different opportunities for you, for people around you, and you just put yourself first, put your dreams first, in the sense of making sure you're doing what is necessary and putting those other things on the back burners for now. I'm gonna stop because I feel like I went onto a little rant here, but like I said, I'm interested to keep doing more videos like this where I get to share a little bit more stories with you guys if you are interested. So please drop comments about what you think, what you want to hear more about when it comes to the home buying process or finances. Although I'm not professional, I can definitely try to help you with just experiences. So again, I hope this helped. Please never forget how loved you are appreciated, you are seen, you are heard, you matter deeply. I love you guys, and please make sure that you subscribe, turn on your post notifications, like, comment, share the video, and I will talk to you guys next week.